Welcome back to the show. As institutions that are a part of our everyday lives become inundated with the trappings of critical race theory, individuals who question the radical academic position have begun facing tangible consequences for their dissent. Recently, a Massachusetts father was fired from his position as a high school football coach after raising concerns over Black Lives Matter and critical race theory being taught in his daughter's 7th grade ancient history course. Here now to discuss the resulting legal actions taken on behalf of this father is the president of Judicial Watch, Tom Fitton. Tom, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for being here. So talk to us a little bit about this lawsuit. There were a couple of developments this week, but give us the basics. What's going on? How is your organization involved?
Well, our client, high school football coach Dave Flynn, he had been a coach for 10, 11 years for Durham High School up in Massachusetts. But last year, he noticed that in his daughter's ancient history class, they secretly put in, without warning the parents, this Black Lives Matter, critical race theory propaganda, anti-police, other problematic attacks on really other Americans and specifically the police. So he objected. He objected as a parent and a citizen, and he didn't get anywhere with the school. He took his kids out and moved on. A few months later, he gets fired in retaliation and specifically over his objections. So we filed a lawsuit in federal court, civil rights lawsuit, and was a hearing this week, and the case is now in discovery. So, we'll be taking testimony and getting documents and things like that. But I tell you, the idea that you get fired from a government job for objecting to racially inflammatory anti-police propaganda in your child's school to me is outrageous.
Right. I mean, I think that, we're trying to do as much work as we can on critical race theory because I think it's important. We heard Senator Scott allude to it last evening during his rebuttal speech to the president. It seems like there are a lot of court case developments around this. I mean, you've got your organization fighting it in the courts. I know Chris Rufo and Kim Herman have really been leading the charge on some of these First Amendment suits taking place on behalf of the, children who are being subjected to it. In your estimation, Tom, is the way to fight critical race theory exclusively done most effectively in the courts, or are there sort of steps to be taken before you even get to lawsuits that could effectively combat it?
Well, there has to be a comprehensive approach. We have to criticize the theory in terms of the policy debate, but we can't let them get away with the idea that it's just a policy debate. Because when you bring in material into schools or into employment situations or into the military or other situations that highlights people by race and criticizes them by race, that's illegal under the law. It's illegal under the Constitution. It's illegal under federal civil rights law and probably state civil rights laws as well. So this has to be a comprehensive fight. We have to fight back in the public square, and we have to highlight what they're doing here isn't just objectionable philosophically, it is anti-American and illegal under our constitutional system of laws as it relates to discrimination based on race. That's what critical race theory is. It's discrimination and targeting by government officials based on race.
I mean, it really seems that critical race theory has become absolutely prominent in the public school and, the private school system as well in the past, I want to say couple of years. What do you see that's leading this charge? Who is leading it? What is the motivation to introduce this type of learning to America's youth?
Well, it's been bubbling along for some time. It's been highlighted more recently. I mean, we've been uncovering this kind of. It's called critical race theory now, but it's been around for a long time. We've been looking at it for years, have repeatedly uncovered material where people are attacked based on their race over alleged misdeeds that their ancestors did, that they are still responsible for. It's just something that it's not new. But it's now has the support of the President of the United States. They're going to be pushing it through Education Department grants and funding, it looks like, further. And of course, you've got the military enforcing critical race theory propaganda throughout the entire armed forces just in the last 2 months.
Right. And so what you're seeing is not just that this sort of ideology in general is harmful, but actually that people are getting in trouble for arguing against it, for offering, respectfully or not, just a difference of opinion, for questioning what is in this new sort of academic philosophy at all. Is that correct?
This is a product of the hard left, the totalitarian left. And it may seem crazy to us, but to them, it's perfectly sensible. Opposition to critical race theory is proof that you're racist.
Right.
So there's a no-win situation for the opponents of the racial separatism and racialism that's being promoted by the totalitarian left here. And this is what it is. It's about totalitarianism, and it's about essentially using this as a vehicle to remake society along the lines of the neo-Marxist left.
Yeah, it's interesting. And I mean, kudos to you and your organization for going to bat for people who are just trying to voice a different opinion. Tom, before I let you go, I want to pivot subject just briefly. Of course, can't let you go without asking you about the Durham report. I mean, you knew that this was coming. This is something that, we've been talking about for months now. We've been hearing rumblings over here at Just the News that there's movement every week and then nothing. Nothing comes to light with the public. You have a lot of information about this. Where do things stand with this elusive report that we all just want to see?
I'm less interested in the report, frankly, Sophie, than actually prosecutions.
Right.
We didn't hire Durham to write a report. I could write a report.
Sure.
Prosecutors are supposed to prosecute. Is he doing a serious criminal investigation? I'm not seeing evidence that that's being done. No one with significant power has been seriously investigated by Durham, as best I can tell.
So what's going on?
Instead, we're seeing continued harassment by the Justice Department of Trump world.
Right, and that's something
maybe Durham really is up to something, because that might explain why there's this desperate attack on Trump these days with their raid on Giuliani's apartment.
So you think that could have been cover for Durham actually doing his work? Or
I'm being sarcastic.
Right.
The fact is, the Justice Department is thoroughly corrupt.
Right.
Durham's investigation is a further symptom of that corruption. The fact is, it's now 2019, 2+ years since he's been appointed. And we've had virtually zero activity from Durham, as best as anyone can see. You can see with a Mueller investigation what a serious criminal investigation looks like. They knew what they needed to do within 5-6 months. Of course, they tortured people unnecessarily, and there was really non-crimes they were investigating. But you had grand juries, you had testimony, you knew what was going on.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
Durham was doing, in my view, an administrative review, and there were issues that popped up as a result of the IG that he followed up with that one FBI official. Other than that,
we haven't seen much.
I don't know what we're spending the money on.
We look forward to seeing what ends up happening with that. We know you'll keep us updated. Tom, thanks so much for stopping by this morning.